the only way to start your day.
It is the only way to start your day. It's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock and getting into conversations for this hour. And we continue. Look, reminding you that you can have things in a circular motion. Loop, on the Loop app, says, you know what? Many things that you would want to have to walk into a bank to do, set up a standing order, get lines of credit, make your bills, have your bills paid, count them. They're as many as the fingers that you have. But Loop is saying, guess what? We can put all of these things in one place at one time. And we're getting into the festive season. And just because of that, the Loop Shopping Festival is taking place at a mall near you. Think about a mall near you, and the Loop Shopping Festival is probably taking place right there. You have an opportunity to shop from different outlets: Tile and Carpet Center, Java, Bata. The list goes on and on and on. You can get discounts. You can get cash back up to 40%, depending on where you shop. You want to take part in this. If you've not downloaded the app, what are you waiting for? Get onto your Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Download the Loop app today and get all your finances in one circular motion. And at the same time, take advantage of the Loop Shopping Festival that takes place this Christmas. And if you're flying, CT has the plug for you while in the air.
Choices galore, and then some. If you're looking for places to visit and not sure, well, let's start with just the number of choices that are available to you. 140 choices from Nairobi. This is what Emirates offers you. 140 destination places you can actually go to. Now, if you want to fly business class, yes, and you've made up your mind where it is you want to go, wonderful things are going to happen to you. A limousine drive from wherever it is you are at to the airport. Wonderful, exquisite, personalized attention as you board the flight. And then you're told, sir, madam, what is it that you would like? Would you just like to sit and do nothing? Would you also like to lie down and do nothing? Or would you like to do something like eating or drinking? Would you like to work, or would you like to have a meal? Would you like to chit-chat with some of the people who you might know on this flight? All those are available at the very, very finest with Emirates Business Class.
I really want to go. You make it happen.
Consider it done.
It's done. Finished. We're flying with Emirates Business Class, going to bed and waking up as though you were in your house, right? Opportunities are being provided for many of the young people in this country by virtue of the fact that they need it, isn't it?
And we're talking about over 1 million young people who enter the labor market each year. And with the unemployment crisis in the country, KCCA Foundation, through the Tujiajiri program, has decided that it will go through these numbers and try to offer a solution, just offer a solution to these issues. And what has KCCA Foundation done? Now, the youth aged between 18 and 34 in the informal sector are the ones that are highly affected. KCB, the Tujiajiri program, has created 150,000 jobs and also trained 35,195 youth, including incubating 10,954, and has also disbursed 267 million shillings loans to support their enterprises. Now, the Tujiajiri Fund as well has ensured that it has issued 2,225 startup toolkits for trade that is helping these young people be able to start their businesses as they move into being self-sustainable, and it has trained 6,535 businesses on financial planning. So KCB is saying, fine, there is the 1 million who are getting into the job market. This is the solution that we have, over 150,000. And it does not just end there by giving you skills. We are giving you the toolkit. If you are a plumber, we're giving you the tools of trade. If you are a mechanic, we're giving you tools of trade, so that by the time you're done with that exercise, you are good to go. And to get that information, you go to kcbgroup.com/foundation.
Fantastic. And that's the way to go. Indeed. All right. It's 9:15 o'clock, and our guest for this hour is here, seated, resplendent in red. Professor George Wajackoyah, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
Not so fine. I missed the road. I had to come by motorbike.
You missed the road,
Yes.
the whole entire road.
Yes, I missed the whole entire entry. Because you guys have squeezed with stones. This is a big place. You should not have stones to give directions to.
Well-
A big major.
Well, you know, there's a story there, eh? We were told, and I'm telling you, we were told.
Yes.
Why can't-
I believe we're in 2024, no?
Why can't they open up that place for?
Let me tell you, Prof.
Yeah.
We were told in 2023
November, to be specific.
that they were going to do this thing in a week. They started on the 4th of November, and they told us by the 11th of... Am I lying?
No, Abi, you're telling the truth.
I'm telling the truth, I'm telling you. By the 11th of November, they told us that thing would be complete. That place where you see that there are stones everywhere and has been cramped into a small space. Wallahi, they told us by
That's-
the 11th of November,
that's-
2023, it would be sorted.
That's why I need to put proper infrastructure in this country. The roads built by the Chinese companies that are trapped to death. Because even if you look at the intersections, how do you come from another road and end another road? I will remove all those things and put Kenyan engineers to do our roads properly. Those are substandard roads, substandard highways, and people are not talking about it. Look at the intersection. You need to have at least 200 meters to enter the main road. Here you just come in, and people have eaten money. I'll really deal with the corruption when the right time comes. Sorry to start on that wrong foot.
No, it is
no,
not.
that
Don't be
is-
sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about.
But, Professor, it's our engineers who design these roads, not the Chinese.
Well,
The Chinese come in as contractors, and they also come in as consultants. But our engineers not only design, but they also oversee whatever it is that we see happening here.
those are very blind engineers. Because if you look at our men and women in uniform, the KDF, the way they built Uhuru Park,
Yeah.
they should be given these jobs. It is. I would convert the Kenya Army Engineering section, who are very efficient in what they do, to build bridges and highways, rather than having these half-baked engineers from some of these universities. You know, sometimes when they graduate, their degrees are recalled back. Masinda Muliro being one of them. So I am going to be very tough when the right time comes.
Okay, so obviously we're already talking about the right time, and I think that's in line with the conversation that we'll be having this morning. But let's welcome you properly.
Thank you.
Professor George Wajackoyah is the Roots Party leader, and we're having a conversation this morning about, you know, political leadership, guidance, how this all should look like, and what is all being brought into the conversation. But let's welcome you with today's proverb, which is from Angola and CT, who somebody said somewhere that there's a resemblance between the two of you. So,
Oh, yes. That's what Dr. Willie, Deputy Governor of Kisumu, sent me a message saying that I should say hi to you because I look like you.
Bas.
But I don't know who is older than the other.
Well, let's put it this way. Once you get to the 6th floor, then you're all age mates.
Okay.
Good.
okay.
Yes.
Sour.
Thank
okay.
you.
Age mate, please tell age mate.
I just became 65. I just became 65 and I was on a cruise to Bahamas. So I do enjoy when I look at white bearded men. You know, they are wise.
Yeah, so we are told.
Yeah, just grow yours.
And then you'll be wise.
Don't have a smooth face.
It's still
Mamas will not like you.
it's
man.
still on Wi-Fi generation trying to connect.
Yes.
When there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm.
Prof, what do you think about that?
I am not a soothsayer, but I would say that when there is no enemy within the stomach and you are still swimming in your mom's stomach, you may not know that you have enemies until you come back.
Oh,
You get born.
that's a very interesting perspective.
It is.
Yes.
Wow. You may not know that you have enemies until you come out.
True.
Okay. You started off already saying the things that you were going to do if you
Yes.
were in some, if you know the time came
Yes.
in the future. I guess that just throttles us into the conversation that we're having this morning. That there seems to be still this thirst for proper leadership. There seems to be a thirst for guidance in the country. You ran for president of Kenya, and you still remain heavily in the political circles, as well as a quest for leadership. Where is that? What do you see in the country today that makes you say we still need something more?
Tenderpreneurship. It's the MPs and MCS who get those tenders. Build those flimsy roads or highways and get the president to go and open them.
That's what you say.
That has been echoed by Raila Odinga as well.
You know, it's something that even we, as the media, have reported on, where you find that someone who's related to an individual within a certain ministry has a company, and that company has been awarded a tender. This is something that we hear fairly often. But that is a symptom of a problem. Because it could be that somebody has a relative who has a company and they've been given a tender to supply or to do some, to go about some construction, and they're actually able to do whatever it is that they're able to do. One doesn't hear these stories anyway. What we hear of are stories where the person who was given the work hasn't quite done what they were supposed to do. So how do we cure the problem? Because what we're now saying, that's a symptom. It's a manifestation that makes us look into and ask, who was it who was given this job? And how did they get this job? Because if the job was done well, I don't think we would ask the question.
True.
Look at Rwanda. Look at the roads in Rwanda. And go and look at the roads, the so-called freeways in Kilimani. Just go to Kilimani first. Look at the roads, the way the roads have been built in Kilimani area and Ngong Road. You'll find out that they, instead of putting double lanes, 2 lanes this side and 2 lanes this side, they will narrow it and leave a big earth between the roads to plant flowers. And you wonder who is going to see those flowers. People want to move. They don't have motorcycle lanes, bicycle lanes, and pedestrian lanes. And then you'll see that road being built halfway. If you go to Langata Road from Karen Shopping Center, now, I'm not talking of yesterday, and you come next to the new mall, the waterfront, they have put some, it's not a laughing matter.
Let's laugh anyway.
They dug on the road and put the earth, and they did not put signs to warn motorists from Karen going towards Langata. So you can be speeding only to end up in your death when it's clearly stated in the engineering rules. And that's why the Minister for Infrastructure, I will sack him when I take over the presidency.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
And I mean that. If you look at Ngong Road now from Lenana High School, going to Ngong Road, that road has been like that. They just chimbered small lanes this way and that side and left the whole thing in between the road. Whereas that's a major highway opening up Kenya to Tanzania through Ngong. Then you ask yourself, who are building these roads? When will they be finished? Why do they have to leave potholes and ports of land in between? Do they want to plant ganja there? Do they want to plant bananas? On whose interest and to whose interest are this road being constructed? I think something is very wrong, and trust me, I blame Kenyan electorate. It's the electorates that I blame.
Okay, I see. So we're making a connection between the things that we see on a daily basis that may not work. And we're talking about roads as an example.
Yes.
But we can go to many other examples. We can talk about an education system which has problems. We can talk about a health system which now we see is, we're not sure if we're coming or going. But there's a link between these things that may not be working properly and a leader who is in place at whatever level, MCA, Member of Parliament, Governor, President. What's the connect between things that we see that are not working and political leadership?
To do away with the Constitution. That was part of my manifesto. Doing away with the Constitution and asking Kenyans to rewrite a Constitution based on reality. Not a Constitution where people have copied and pasted and then they have been paid, the so-called consultants. And then you are told you are going for a referendum, public participation. And you get a few men and women called in to say yes. And you find that it's the politicians who go in the rural areas to oversee people's participation. That is what is happening in Kenya. And that's why I came up and I said, I will suspend the Constitution and ask the people to go back to the drawing table to find out what is it exactly that they want. But I still blame the Kenyan electorate, because it is them during that particular time who came up and with slogans. Now, why can't they keep on doing those slogans? We were only 4 candidates. Tribalism came in. If the Luyas alone elected me, if I was to be a tribal elder, I could be the president today. But you know where they went? Watch out our kule ujeuri.
How do you get out of it?
Is by telling this so-called electorate that it's their mandate, and that's why I love the Gen Zs, maybe supervised by the Gen Zs, to make sure that everybody votes and the votes are counted. I'm now told that they are going to establish vehicles as polling centers. Vehicles, motor vehicles. Gari ya nani? Presiding officers there. Wanaenda kuhesabu kura msituni. May God bring Trump. I love the way Trump has been elected. If it is by Trump that we shall clean up this mess, then I'm going to appeal to Donald Trump personally, because I have the guts to reach him and tell him, look, even if you are not liked by Americans or liked by them, not liked by us, look at Kenya and put it on the table and ask them. Ask the U.S. government and those who are in the U.S. Commercial sector, why are they investing in a dump country where there are no rules and regulations, where we have corruption? They should stop investing here so that we clean up our mess. Otherwise, we don't need to appeal to Trump to come and clean it. But since you have failed to clean it, let the international community come in.
Prof, now, as you talk about the role of political leadership in the country right now, you are a political leader in this country. You stood as president, you ran as president in the country. And with all that is happening in the country, your role as a political leader, a former presidential candidate, in making sure that things go the right way, what are you doing about it?
If you look at my social media, latest being at the Bomas of Kenya, where we had over 10,000 people of the Burgess, you find out why they called me to go and officiate the occasion with the Senator of Marsabit, Honorable Senator Kute. I am on the ground, and I have built up the ground silently. If you follow my social media, you'll find out that Kenyans who follow me, like I went to Kiambu last week, and the entire city, Kiambu town, followed me. I had nowhere to hide, but in joy, I had to run to the governor's office to tell the governor what these people are doing. And when I went to the governor's office, they had to close the door because the masses who are following me wanted to find out what is it that has gone wrong. So I am on the grassroots. I'm talking to the people quietly. I am not following this chorus or caucus of some of these politicians who have come up to take advantage of Raila's exit by tagging the tag of blame. Blame, oh Gachagua, oh Nini. Instead of some of them who have been ministers and vice presidents coming up with solution-based agenda to the Kenyans by telling Kenyans this is the outcome of what we want, that they are blaming President Ruto. President Ruto. Yes, you elected Ruto as the president. But what can you tell us? Can you give us solutions? What are we going to do? So it has become two sectors. One sector of very corrupt bourgeoisie, another sector of the followers. They have been in government for 20 years as ministers. They have been in government as ministers and vice president. They have been in government in the opposition. And so what they want is to create some kind of song for us to dance, the Russian roulette song, so that they are seen to be spearheading. They are now saying, oh, the Gen Z, but when they were ministers, what did they do? Is that the kind of political leadership that Wajackoyah wants to follow? Hell no. I am not following them. I am on my own. And if there are those people who look at me and they think I can do whatever I can do, fair enough. But I'm not following any leader at the moment because there's no legitimacy in following them.
What is legitimate leadership for Kenya today? What would it be? Not what you wouldn't follow, Prof.
Yes.
But what would be legitimate leadership in Kenya today that would be something that people would be able to follow and say, yes, this is the direction.
Is for Ruto to resign today, call for fresh elections. And there's no bargain about it. If it was a European government, Western government, where even going to parliament late, you get a minister resigning, like what happened to the Conservative minister the other day in UK, where he resigned because he went to parliament wrong, then those are the examples we need. Not throwing people under the bus, arresting people with Subarus, forcing illegitimacy on the people of Kenya. That is not going to be the way. People have to come up like what the president of Botswana has done. Come up and correct from within. Tell the people who you stand for. Tell the people who you are. Don't superimpose, and then you start now fighting your own subjects, and you are the president. And it's easier. If I was to advise Ruto right from the beginning, had he approached me after losing the election or after the election, would have said, okay, Kenya is bigger than us. What do we do? Instead, they jumped up and appointed everybody, expecting Professor Wajackoyah. By the way, I just got cleared for my second PhD, which I'm going to defend, which is hallelujah. Sorry to put that. Yeah. Instead of talking to us, call Raila Odinga, call Mwaure, call Wajackoyah, let's sit down and let's see what we can do, because all of us have run for a president. You expect me to come and kneel before you and be a chairman of a commission? Hell no. So the legitimacy is for the president of this country to recall, dissolve parliament, like what has happened in Senegal, call for fresh elections, and let Kenyans decide. Kenya is bigger than you. We have seen dictators come and perish. Look at what has happened in Damascus. We don't want to go that route. I'm not saying we are, but we can see the world going towards that. But finally, I'm appealing to Trump again. Thank God for have removed that lady from the U.S. Embassy who was bringing us this mayhem. Let's talk it the way it is. We need change, and change is now.
You know, one of the beautiful things about standing for a political position is you get an opportunity to air your views and to say what it is you really think and what you want to see done. The very things you're saying, how you'll bring about change, are perhaps a mirror image of what President Ruto and his group were saying. They were also saying they'll bring change. Now, the details of how you want to bring change differs, but they were saying the same thing. They are still saying the same things they said. And with every problem that seems to come up, they are still saying things. So one gets the impression that this government wants to bring about change by saying things. Now, you are saying things. How will the things you are saying actually be done?
Very good.
How will they practically be done so that we can see that this is actually being done?
Thank you. That's a very tough question, but I will answer it to you the way I can. I become the president, my friend. The authority I have will flow from my mouth and flow from those that want change. It's not difficult to bring change when you want change to come. Number one, if you look at this, the first thing on my manifesto was legalization of weed. We have what it takes to legalize weed, not for smoking. And let me be very clear. We have what we call hemp. Hemp products have brought hemp economics around the world, where people are moving away. People are moving away from the all concrete world, all medicinal world, into new agenda. What will be wrong for me to start my policies by making declarations as per the constitution and as per the mandate that have been given? Galala Gulan is 1 million. 1 million. Galala Gulalu is 1 million hectares of land. Why couldn't I have said, okay, as we legitimize this industry, why can't we have a Guinea project of 200,000 hectares of land in Galana Gulalu so that we can grow hemp for purposes of domestic and commercial industrialization, not the leaves that come in for smoking. If you look at what Uganda has done, if you look at what Uganda, Botswana, and the new president of Botswana has done, he took over and he made a declaration that even though we have diamonds, we are also going to legalize. And they indeed legalized marijuana, legalized hemp, to add the GDP, to double the GDP of Botswana. What would have been wrong with me saying that? And moreover, let me retrace your question and answer you from retracing a point of view or from a footnote. The people who are promising have been members of parliament. The people who are promising, and I'm talking of Ruto, has been a minister. The people who are promising, and I'm talking of Ruto, has been a deputy president. What is his track record when he was an MP, a minister, deputy president, and now president? The track record speaks volumes. Look at what we have come up. Look at the simple things we came out with, which do not need some kind of magnanimity. Look at how these people jumped out and went to foreigners to police the foreigners and make journeys and bring in the so-called things that cannot work for us at the moment, like the blue marine economy, which is still at its own innovation in industrial nations like Israel. I would have done it differently by making decrees. And as a president, I would have stand, and I will still stand, by making declarations that are within the concept of our manifesto. Nothing wrong with that. Secondly, I've refused to be appointed a minister. I have also refused money. How comes that I did not take the monies that was being given to me during the election to surrender my goal, and also becoming a minister so that I kill this dream? I should have taken that. So I refused. That tells you what kind of character I am. And finally, I speak the way it comes out. I've addressed these issues openly, notoriously.
And saying it the way it is.
And I'm saying it the way it is.
Let's look at what the future will hold when we come back from this break. It's 24 minutes to 10 o'clock. We're having a conversation this morning with Professor George Wajackoyah, who is the Roots Party leader, and looking at what it actually does mean, leadership in this country and what direction it should take. Obviously putting himself up yet again and saying, look, I want to be able to rule. I want to be able to lead the nation. But we'll come back and continue with that. CT, remind us, when we fly, who should we fly with and why?
Fly with Emirates, but don't just fly with Emirates. Fly with Emirates business class. Because you will get your destination if you just fly, but you will not get to your destination in the manner in which Emirates business class will take you to your destination. Okay? Everything about it can be summarized in one phrase. It will be a transport of delight. The delight will be for you. You will enjoy every minute of that process from the time you leave your house, board the plane, get involved in whatever happens within there, arrive at your destination, and go back to wherever it is you come from. Emirates business class.
Fantastic. Yes. And if you want to find out more about what the KCB Foundation is doing for making sure that the country's young people actually can be led in the right direction, what do we do?
Yeah, you go to kcbgroup.com/foundation. But even before we get to that, we talked about millions getting into the labor market. But how do we get them to be ready for the market? Now, KCB Foundation, through the Tujiajiri program, has ensured that the program sponsors training for students, just making sure that you are out of college, you need extra information, you are trained for you to be ready. And the program incubates enterprises, making sure that SMEs, small businesses, get the skills that they need. And that when the graduates are ready and their ideas have been vetted bankably, they receive credit to help them start their business and get ready into being self-sustainable. KCB says for you to get all these, you go to kcbgroup.com/foundation.
Indeed. And that's the way for us to look into it. It's 22 minutes to 10 o'clock. Our conversation continues when we come back from this break.
The only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
Hii krisi, sambaza furaha na Safaricom Business. Zidisha biashara yako na 25% off kwa business internet plans. Reliable internet ni key kwa biashara yako. Ukiwa na 5G speed na huduma za Safaricom Business, una hustle smarter, unawafikia wateja faster na kufanikisha mafanikio zaidi kazini. Dial *485# or visit www.business.safaricom.co.ke to subscribe. Safaricom Business, powering progress. Make sure your biashara shines this festive season. Welcome to iVibe Africa, your best African entertainment platform. Discover exclusive content on African culture, motoring, sports, and reality shows made by Africans for Africa. Stream to iVibe Africa wherever you are. Whether you're at home or on the go, we've got something for you. Download iVibe Africa now on Google App Store or Play Store to ensure you never miss out on this captivating and amazing entertainment.
Listen, each and every Saturday right here, pure entertainment, raw vibe.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Straight Up Show.
That if you're watching from home, weka kiti kando jamani, it's about time.
Show ni inabaona kuna nyingine bado.
So remember each and every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Ni kubwa sana. Ndani ya KCCA.
DJ Tatua.
Skia ni juicy flavor zote tamu tena fruity yummy na flow kama maji juu ni tamu kama sali ni juicy are you bored kuna vitu zinakuudhi usijali my bro hebu kama taka juicy juni.
Hi, and welcome to Shop.Digga, where we bring you the best deals in fashion, tech, think gadgets and gizmos, think kitchen appliances, think your Christmas movie, all in one stop. All you have to do is scan the QR code and shop till you drop. Remember, Standard Courier brings you all these goods that you buy at the convenience of your doorstep. We bring you the best deals, unbeatable deals this side of the Sahara. We are on TV every Saturday from 6:30 p.m. EU on Shop.Digga.
Style would be different, not just you as an individual, but what in leadership style should be and would be different when looking at how Kenya should be led.
Stop lying, just be honest with the people. If there's nothing, if there's no food, just tell people there will be no food. Let us do what we can do, like what happened in Malaysia. When the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the then Prime Minister, I think is the current one, came up and addressed the nation and said, look, Malaysia is bankrupt. Let us do something about this bankruptcy. He asked every man and woman who had gold chains, silver, to donate to the government so that the government could rescue itself. And it's that honesty upon which the Foundation of Economic Development made Malaysia to become a leader in the tiger economy. So a good leader is that leader who is very honest with himself, with his wife and children, his relatives, and what have you. Like now, for example, people beg me for money and I tell them I don't have it. And even if I have it, I will not give it to you. It will go for development. So you either go to that one who has the money and vote for him, or vote for me so that we can move. So honesty is key. Integrity is number 2. Let's look at the background of somebody for the last 15 years before we talk to him. Look at me. Go do your own research. Find out who this man Wajackoyah was, apart from the lunacy that came up from the bishops that particular time when they were saying, oh, we mutu ya bangi, we are taribu watoto wetu. But they did not find out exactly where I was coming from. I'm now glad that the churches are now calling me to find out. So honesty, integrity must be a manifesting factor in you, and it must relate back to the last 20 years. How many wives do you have? How many children do you have? Let anyone that you have ever sired a child with come out in open. And I'm even appealing, if I have any, let them come out and say, Wajackoyah nipatia mimba mtoto ndio huyu. Yeah, so honesty is something that you cannot bargain with.
Wajackoyah, you've raised something about the position we find ourselves as a republic goes back to the electorate. Electorates have put us in, we find ourselves in this space because of the decisions that we made. How do we then, moving forward, that the electorate are positioned, are put in a place where they make the right decisions and champion them towards that?
I think the best example I can give today before I answer your question is the people of the Kikuyu tribe. The Kikuyus, I really respect them for one thing. They know the meaning of voting. They know the meaning of voting just like the Indian nationals know. They know who to vote for, and they know why. When they were voting for the current status quo, they were voting because they knew what they were going to get out of it. And they indeed voted in block. They're the only people who can come up and say, no, let us vote for reality. But if you go to our people, the Luyas and the Luo community, I will start with the Luyas. With the Luya, you must give something.
For your vote? Or
with the Luya, if you give him 50 shillings when he's on the way to the polling station, he will turn around. Or he'll give you his vote and then you'll do away with it. The sanctification of the mind is very key, especially the older generation. let us now divide the Gen Z generation and the older generation, and let us equip the Gen Z generation with votes, allow them to go and wachukue kura. Probably those ones will be the ones that will vote for the right people because they know what it is. They have done research, they have been born within these people, they have been told to be the leaders of tomorrow. They have sanctified their minds and they have decided and they have come up with an analogy of leadership. Lakini hii mambo ya old school, as I stay here and as I say that I'm running for elections, if we are going to continue with what we have today, I'm sure I will not win. I will not win based on the fact that these people's mindsets are, huyu ni mtoto wa nani, ako na pesa gani, babake alikuwa nani, anatoka tribe gani, anatoka clan gani. Unless we do away with that holistically.
How do you do away with it? Because the point you raise is a valid one. And it is argued that those who want to aspire for a higher position of political leadership, you start by having a visible backing from your backyard. Now, if, as you say, the backyard you come from, people must be given something before, something here means money, before they even move towards the ballot. And you have clearly said you will not give.
I will not give what I don't have. And even if I have, I will not give the interests that I'm supposed to be paying on the loan. So if that's the way it is, so it be.
Let's look at what is currently happening in leadership in this country. And if you think, I mean, obviously it's clear that you think that it is not working, right? In just a few weeks ago, we saw the removal of Deputy President. We saw that a new Deputy President was installed. Do you think that would be the panacea to the problems that may be happening? And what were your overall thoughts about that? Because it is very important when we look at then how that mantle is carried moving forward.
I think it's the Constitution again. The way the Constitution was done was the President to elect his deputy. Let us come up with a new formula whereby deputies should also have a stake in the Constitution. So are the deputy governors as well. These people are like toilet papers.
Which people specifically?
Yeah, deputies.
Okay.
Deputy governor, deputy president. Unless we anchor something in the Constitution to protect their interests, that is the only way out.
You came together, you go together perhaps?
Yes.
But if you look at the constitutionality that we now have in this country, there are many changes we've made, not to the Constitution, but to regulations. We've introduced bills that are supposed to bring about certain changes. We keep seeing them and they come very often. Some there's an omnibus and something is sneaked in and before you know it, it's part and parcel of what was passed by Parliament. But that's not my concern. Professor, there is this matter of the debt that we owe externally or and internally as a nation. And within this, there is the matter of what you call the odious debt. Debt that we owe, but we're not really sure how it is we got to have that debt because there's no reference whatsoever or indication where that money went in terms of our development. What would your position in the matter of our debt
First,
and financing and of our budget be?
we shall auction every property of illegally acquired property should be auctioned. That is not an issue. Once we take over, somebody of like minds take over. It will be up to the people to decide. You come and tell us how you acquired this wealth when we know what you are. Look at the amount of wealth Ruto is acquiring. Look at the amount of wealth people like Kapsaret MP is acquiring. Now coming up with bicycles, and I saw him this morning saying that he's going back home to develop his constituency, and he was actually giving motorbikes to those people. Where did he get that money from? It is this money that we need these people to bring back to the government. As a matter of fact, the best part of it is that those who are stealing are investing here. It will be easier to trace that property. But those investing abroad, we shall recall. We shall talk to those governments where they have stashed this money and even apply diplomatic sanctions against those countries so that this money can come back. This thing has happened in other countries recently. So that's not an issue. But when you talk about the bills that you said, bills that come in and are passed, some of those bills are very unconstitutional. look at this bill where somebody's saying that we should move our capital city to Nakuru. Did he really ask Kenyans whether they wanted a new capital city? Did he really go out there to make a referendum? Because a city is a legitimate, shows legitimacy of the country. They bring that in their manifesto, just like I suggested that Nairobi is congested and you should actually move it to Isiolo, and let the people come up and find out whether the proximity in Isiolo will be of commercial importance to our nation. No, these bills are brought in to fetter. Like somebody just wakes up in the morning, goes to Parliament, to the Senate, and says, we need to prolong the presidency from 5 years to 7 years. Shot somebody like that. And I'm like, really? This man purports to be a lawyer. Thank God he went to school where he went to school. He was born, he went to school there. He went to university there. He climbed in the first time he went outside the country, maybe it's when he was going on a foot benching to come back. They have never been outside to see the reality of constitutionalism and human rights. Oh, tunataka sasa to unlimit the terms. Come on. Those are kind of bills that we were talking about.
Can I tell you about another one that we saw about today? And maybe you can tell us what your thoughts are on that. Cabinet, in the light of sometimes chaotic and hotly contested elections, have then approved a new bill which provides for tough penalties against those obstructing an incoming president. So you've gone to the ballots in what you're supposed to be a free and fair election, and someone has been declared winner. And for some reason, there's public outcry or public unrest in terms of, this is not... And from certain political circles, we hear calls of illegitimacy even after the vote. What this new bill, essentially, that has been approved by Cabinet says is that you cannot in any way then obstruct by word or deed an incoming president, because what that would mean for you would be serious penalty if you did. What are your thoughts?
Did they do a cabinet meeting consultation with the president to find out whether it was viable for them to bring up this kind of thing?
I mean, full cabinet sat and the president is the head of cabinet.
Let him pass it and then you'll see the wrath of Wananchi. That particular one, we shall demonstrate in big numbers. Because if the president is sitting there, that means he's partisan to the whole system. That means he's the one who is bringing in. That means he's preparing to rig the elections. And please, Mr. Ruto, do away with that before even we come out. That is an illegitimate kind of whatever. Are those the kind of things cabinet ministers should be doing in this country instead of going back and doing what they ought to be doing to emasculate people from poverty? I will oppose the president. If that bill comes out, I'll be the first to go to jail. I can assure him on that. If he rigs the election and doesn't want me to talk about it, I will do that and then go to prison. If that is, after all, I've been in prison. What's the big deal? Those are illegitimacies of what they have failed to do. Now they are looking at anything to legitimize their presidency. They will fail. Thank you.
Where do you think the role of the people is in all of this? Because we can talk of people with sound character. We can talk about people who, put themselves up for the position. But the role of the people in terms of putting somebody in that position then is paramount in all of this.
That's why I'm going to Trump. That's why I'm going to write Trump. And that's why I'm going to call him.
Trump is the president-elect of a sovereign nation.
This country is an extension. As by now, you see, there are done issues and what have you. Some of the things we are looking at today are things that have come from those countries, and that's why we need to tell them, if you want us to develop the so-called commercial ties with you, this is what we want you to do, to tell them, because they cannot listen to the electorate. They want to impose illegitimacy on our people.
You make Kenya sound like a non-geographical enclave of the United States.
Right now
Kenya
no
is
voice.
a sovereign nation.
People have no voice. Sovereign, so what? People have no voice. You say something, you are put in a Subaru. You say something, you are called by the tax people to pay taxes. You say something, you have no way to go out. Kidnappings have come to replace common sense in the Constitution. We no longer have moral values. So if somebody is going to do that, we better tell the dogmaster that, look, if you do this and we take over, we shall cut off diplomatic ties with you. It works. I am the only one who can tell these nations. People are afraid. I'm telling Ruto that that is illegitimate with the so-called cabinet. They should actually remove that thing from their mindset and issue a public apology. That's an abuse to the Constitution. If that Constitution stands. If not, then we shall change that Constitution to have people to have meritmas in that constitution.
How do you actually enact the supremacy of the constitution?
Well, it's the people. What they did in the other countries recently. It's very easy. Hawana kula ugali huko, tunaenda kula ugali kwa hiyo State House. Na kuvunja hiyo na kuingia huko. I'm not trying to say it in a bad way. But if there's a bad leadership, the preamble of the constitution is the preamble. We the people. Anything written beneath is not part of the constitution. We the people analogy is what binds Kenyans together. They can come up and say, we the people of Kenya have refused to be governed in the following manner. We need to be governed this way, not that way. We cannot have a few men and women to go and sit and abuse the constitution. And I'm telling Ruto again, I don't hate him, but I'm telling him, if you are the president, you have the mandate to do what we want. Don't let those praise and worship ministers come around you and encircle you to tell you, oh, mheshimiwa mtukufu rais, tutakuja hapa na hii tufanye hivi. No, haram. Hiyo ni haramu hiyo.
Professor, as you speak right now, there is a subject that is lingering in our heads, and that is the formation of IEBC ahead of the 2027 elections. And it is a question of Party A blaming Party B with regard to the formation of IEBC. Prof, it is a body that handled an election that you were party to. What must be done for us to have IEBC? Because even the Kriegler Commission says the electoral body should be in place 3 years to the election. We're in 2025 in a few weeks.
That's why I called for Ruto to dissolve the government, because we are already past the benchmark of illegality.
Okay.
As simple as that.
As simple as that.
Certain things need to be done. Certain things need to be done in a certain way. There's always been the conversation about whether those in the legislative arm whose power has been usurped by the executive. What are your thoughts about that, and what is the way to peel back?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we used to read about that in civics, about separation of power, parliament, judiciary and executive. They made sense in the first Kenyatta government. And they made sense to the Brits who we borrowed these things from. But right now, they make no sense. Yeah, that's why I'm going to do away with all that. You find Parliament impeaching somebody. And you find goons gooning up, getting money and going up. And now, after impeaching somebody, they come up blaming each other as to how much money was given to them.
Or not.
So it's a rot. The system is rotten. Completely rotten, and I mean it.
If you do away with it, what will you replace it with?
My friend, you look at Burkina Faso, look at the president of Burkina Faso. Did he follow some of those rules? We came up with what?
We are not in Burkina Faso.
Yeah, but we have to look at an example to make our legitimacy.
Yes, so what would you do?
What I will do?
Yes.
As a person, probably it's good to be a dictator for 5 months. Benevolent dictator for the first 5 months, and that's what I will be.
Which way Kenya? And I think that's, as we round up, which way Kenya?
Kenya is right now going to the drain. People are hurting. The county government has become a monopoly of some people. You look at county governments now, they are not paying salaries. They are not paying their contractors. You look at the governors, the way they are enriching themselves, nobody will know. They are called before the Senate. Once they are called before the Senate to answer some of these questions, you find the blames come in, ESCC comes in, and then the case inaenda chini. So the whole mess, we are in a quagmire of mess the first 2 years of Ruto administration. And we need to come out. And still Ruto can do it. Ruto can do it if he wants to. Or if he wants to mess himself so that he'll be forgotten in history, let him continue messing, because right now he's the president. But when he comes out the presidency and is put out, then he will have to answer this question. So it's up to him now. And I, as Wajackoyah, the third most powerful man in this country, I'm telling him to come out, call us before it's too late. Kenya is bigger than him. That we can give him what ideas we need, not to make us ministers. I will not take that. Not to give us money, but to sit with us in a round table directly. If he calls me directly and say, Professor, I want to see you, I will see him. But I will not go to see him through proxies.
I hear you. And that rounds up our conversation for this morning, at least. But these conversations definitely must continue. Professor George Wajackoyah is the Roots Party leader, has been our guest this hour. Do come back and let's continue these conversations, shall we?
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this morning. We'll do it again tomorrow, God willing. Take care of yourselves. It's 10 a.m.